Alright, well, if you want to talk about MK11, why... Because a lot of people agree, it's not just me saying it, that MK is boring to watch. And that's been a problem with NRS games, I think, since Injustice 2. I think Injustice 2 and MK11 both suffer the same problem. MK10 had it as well, but not as badly. Because I think just the art style of MK10 made it a much more visceral, kind of fast-paced kind of game. MK11, I mean, okay, let's get the obvious things out of the way first. I got no problem with MK as a series. You know, I bought the collector's edition of MK11 with the season pass built into it from day one, so I wanted to like it. I really did. And look, like I've said before, they are gorgeous looking games, for sure. They're the best looking fighting games out there, maybe with the exception of the new Guilty Gear that's coming out. But current gen, best looking fighting games at the moment. And like I said before, best production values, best story, best replayability, blah 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 blah. Why are they boring to watch? I think there's a few things to that. First of all is that as a lot of people have pointed out, MK really jumped onto the PC bandwagon. So a lot of their female characters are desexualized. They're just not really very attractive, or their figures have been toned down, or they're wearing like 10 layers of clothes, or whatever, right? And I'm not big on PC culture. I know that's like the big thing right now. That's what a lot of the kids these days are into, and that sort of shit. I don't agree with it at all. I think that we should be, as human beings, as adults, we should be allowed to have fun, right? And sexualizing things that don't exist, not people, things that don't exist, is fun. And that goes for guys, and that goes for women. We can have a women with big tits and big asses and tiny waists, and we can have dudes with big fucking rippling muscles and 8-packs and all kinds of shit, right? Not even the kids are into PC culture. Well, this fucking Twitter is, I can tell you that much. So that's my stance on that. I mean, obviously, if you've been on, watching my streams or on the YouTube channel for any amount of time, you will know that that's where I stand on that. But obviously a lot of people don't. The left is trying to indoctrinate them. 5 to 10 years old, well that's a different story. We're talking about adults here. I'm not interested in talking about people who are under 18. I'm talking about adults. As adults we should be able to have, like I said, sexy things. And the problem is that we live in a culture right now, and we're getting a little bit off track here, but we are living in a culture right now where if you don't really tone down the appearance of your women in your media, then you will risk getting fucking torn apart for it on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on fucking Instagram, on fucking anything, right? And I think that was the bullet that NetherRealm wanted to try and dodge, because they've obviously had to put up with a lot of controversy in the past, and maybe it wasn't even NetherRealm, maybe it was WB who just said no, we're just you can keep the gore, you can keep the blood, because no one cares about that, weirdly enough. No one cares about blood, no one cares about people being torn in half and eaten alive by insects and all kinds of shit like that. But you show a chick with a big ass pair of titties and we're gonna have a problem. So it's the ludus lacking that makes it boring. No, that's part of it. There is no single thing that makes Mortal Kombat 11 boring to watch. That's one element of it. And that's fine, I'm gonna leave that at that. Beyond that, a lot of people criticize the animations of Mortal Kombat, that it just, the animations look very stiff. And that's something that has definitely been an issue in the past. Like MK10 and previous to that. They did start improving that from Injustice 2 onwards, so it's less of an issue now, but it is still an issue. I will grant you that the animation style of MK, which is just the way that MK has always been, with these really weird, stiff, unnatural movements, is just the way that MK is, and they're clearly not willing to change that. So there's that. But the biggest thing I think about it is that you've got two things. You've got breakers. So you've got your defensive gauge in MK11 to let you drop out of combos, and it refills automatically. Same with your attack gauge. And you've got just the fact that there's really no comeback mechanic in MK11. It's a slow-paced game where projectiles are very powerful, where there are certain moves that are very powerful, and there's a lot of 50-50s and whatnot. That's not the issue. Like I said, projectiles are very powerful, and there's no real way to just come back in that game. Once you're losing, you're pretty much fucked. You can go for your random fatal blow, but that's not going to, you can only use that once. And if you use it in a combo, it's going to scale hard. And that's kind of it. That's like the thing that makes games like Street Fighter 5 exciting, or Killer Instinct, or Marvel, or any of those types of games, even Dragon Ball FighterZ, they all have a good comeback mechanic. We can basically just, it's never over till it's over in Street Fighter. Whereas, once someone gets a fairly commanding lead in Mortal Kombat, it's very hard to come back from that, especially with chip in Mortal Kombat, because everything chips, right? And you gotta do perfect guards to not get chip, and even then the chip is only reduced, it's not cancelled out completely. Too many in-match cinematics. I don't mind the intros. The intros I'm okay with. Right, that's fine by me. I don't have a problem with the intros. It's really just the character designs, the lack of comeback mechanics, the slow gameplay, the fact that projectiles are very dominant. Those are all, I think, to the layman, to someone who's not an MK veteran, who doesn't understand, the pressure strings, the mix-ups, things like that. It can just be very slow to watch. And then you have moves. There are some moves that have very long animations in that. Like when MK11 first came out, and Aaron Black was fucking top tier as fuck. You could do a setup where you could throw the poison on the ground, the acid on the ground, whatever it is, right? So you get to pull green stuff on the ground, then do a throw that knocks them into the acid pool, so they're taking damage over time while they're in the acid pool, right? So that even though they're knocked down, they're still taking damage because they're in a pool of acid. Aaron Black walks around fucking casually, stomps on their head a few times, walks back, and then they can finally get back up. And that shit just slows the game down, right? You're stuck watching this animation for 5-6 seconds. And it happens multiple times in a single match. It's just, it's really just slow. And I'm aware that you can get big combos, you can get your 30, 40, 50% damage combos, and that's fine. And crushing blows and whatnot. Chun-Li thighs forever. How's it going? But those are the things to my mind that make Mortal Kombat very boring to watch. And like I said, a lot of people seem to agree with me. A lot of people really, when I posted that video talking about how Mortal Kombat had been dropped from EVO this year, I don't think there was one person that actually defended it. A lot of people defended some of the other stuff. A lot of people defended Marvel 2, which is fine. Wasn't talking about that from a gameplay standpoint. I was just talking about that from a spectator standpoint. Yeah, a lot of people defended Smash, things like that. I don't think anyone defended MK. Everyone was just like, yeah, it's boring. And that video got a lot of dislikes. That's a different story. So yeah. So I hope that answers your question. That's why, and it's the same thing as as Injustice 2. Injustice 2 is actually really fun to play. I find it's not the most fun fighting game ever in the world, but it's quite fun to play. I actually really enjoyed playing Supergirl in Injustice 2. But I stop posting. If I post a video on a channel for a series and the views fall below a certain threshold, I stop posting it because, well, people just obviously aren't interested in this. And every time I posted MK10, Injustice 2, MK11, they always drop off real quick. And so I give the people what they want, and the people just aren't really that interested, unfortunately. So there you go. MK doesn't feel hype. I mean, I can see the hype in Smash. Yeah, there's a weird pace to Mortal Kombat where it doesn't matter whether you're busting out a big combo or whether you're just playing neutral. It always feels like it's running at the same speed no matter what. It's kind of weird like that. I think that comes down to, again, the lack of a V trigger or an X factor or anything else. It always feels like it's just on the same speed. And then you get the fatal blows, and they did make the smart decision to stop fatal blows from being tied to your meter, because people were burning meter on getting out of combos instead of using fatal blows. But fatal blows by themselves are, they take way too fucking long. They're really long animations, and you kind of just sit stuck there just like watching the health bar going, are they gonna die or not? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Okay, he's dead. Sort of thing. Because like once you've seen it a couple of times, that's it. Like I guess that's the other thing as well, is that the gore is a big part of Mortal Kombat. I'm fine with that, but it gets old fast. Like once you've seen someone get stabbed through the head a dozen times, it really gets old fast. Like you're kind of at the point of like, it loses its shock value and you're just like, can you get on with it? Can we move things along? Sort of thing. So there's probably that as well, I think. I'm more happy on Ghost of Tsushima because the is Way of the Samurai with a high budget. Fair enough. Yeah, it does. It really does. So yeah, I think those are the reasons why just MK is just, yeah, it's just not, it's the same problem that yeah, Injustice has as well, is that they're just not exciting games to watch. They all just seem to be running it like, you know, like you watch like a match of Street Fighter, right? And the pace of it varies. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, you know, we're playing, you know, footsies or whatever, and then sometimes there'll be like, you know, a mad rush down. You know, sometimes there'll be like someone will be caught in the blender. Sometimes there'll be you know, a mad scramble, shit like that. Stuff that makes, you know, or someone will start making a comeback and it's really hype. You watch like a match of Mortal Kombat and it feels like it's running at 5 out of 10 the entire time. From start to finish, it feels like it's running at half speed. So yeah, doing my combo. Okay, combo's over. Okay, back to neutral. Throwing out strings on block. Yeah, it's gonna do my string. It's gonna have a 50-50 in it somewhere, and just yeah. It's too violent. MK11. Like I said, it's just losing the novelty of violence, basically. Like like I said, it's like you see someone get stabbed through the head once, you've seen it a dozen times. Yeah, there's a reason why people don't, when you're watching tournaments in Mortal Kombat 11, they don't bother doing fatalities, because they've seen it a million times before, and all it does is slow things down. So it'll get to like the finishing part, and just walk over and just go boop, get it over with, get to the next match.